What's going on, guys? In this video, we're going to be going over a few of the different Wrath of Lich King specs for rogues, primarily for subtlety. In Wrath, there are different specs depending on what type of composition you're playing. I kind of want to just walk you through the talents that I choose and how the different specs are for the specific comp that you're playing. The first one I'm going to be going over is the all-in spec. I call it the all-in because you're sacrificing a lot of the standard talents that you would be like, there's no way you wouldn't go, and you are removing them for massive damage. So it's going to look a little bit like this. You want to go 3 out of 3 in Master of Deception because it's very important to have the stealth. You're going to go opportunity to increase the ambush damage and relentless strikes maxed out. Obviously, we're going to go into dirty tricks, serrated blades. I'm going to go into elusiveness, and then I'm going to go into initiative, and I'm going to go into approve ambush. I'm going to skip hemo, and I'm going to go into dirty deeds as well as preparation. From here, we're going to grab heightened senses, and we're going to go into deadliness and master subtlety. This is where the spec is starting to begin to change, where I'm skipping on hemo because a standard one, which would be you go hemo, but for example, this spec is more so double rogue. You can definitely use rogue mage for this spec as well. Rogue warlock, anything that's fast and double DPS where you kind of are all in and you're not really playing for resets. You want to, or you can use this spec. So you're going to skip out on hemo because a lot of the games should end in the opener. We're going to go 2 out of 3 on master of subtlety and then 3 out of 3 deadliness. I'm going to go 1 prep. We're actually going to skip cheat death. So that's kind of going back or circling back to, skipping out on those massive talents that are kind of ingrained in the rogues, kind of like game sense. Like, oh yeah, we're always going to have cheat death. You don't even want cheat death really in season 5 because there's so many things that are be damaging you. There's so many dots and the damage is so overtuned that you're really not going to get the value. Like if this thing is proccing, you're pretty much dead. And sometimes it feels like it doesn't even proc because the damage is just so intense. So I want to make sure I just don't overdo it with the points. And here we go. Next one is we're going to max out the Sinister Calling because we want the total agility. We want to go Shadow Step, and then we want to go Honor Among Thieves. So this is where it gets really cool. We're going to go another point in to Deadliness to max out the attack power. And we're going to skip Filthy Tricks. We're going to skip Waylay, and we're going to skip Cheat Death. The reason being is, again, the games are going to be ending in the opener, and the games are contingent on you playing it properly and winning in the opener because we're focusing on massive damage. For example, double rogue. You're double rogue with Bandit's Insignia, Dark Moon deck card, Goblin Rocket on the hand, and Sword and Border Enchant to maximize burst. Like everything is all in on openers. So you don't need cheat death. You shouldn't be playing around cheat death, and you also don't need Waylay. The reason being is because they should be stunned. You should not need to have Waylay. If you're playing healer DPS, you do want Waylay for the warriors and paladins. But in this case, for the double DPS, you're going to rely on your crippling poison. You're not going to use Waylay. So you're save these points in cheat death. You're going to save the points in Waylay and then Filthy Tricks. Again, the game should be ending. You're not going to be waiting for prep. Prep's re-cooldown. And it's okay to have your Shadow Step on a longer cooldown. And for it to also cost more energy, it's totally fine. So we're going to remove all of those points and we're going to seed it into the next tree. We're going to max out Slaughter of the Shadows and then Shadow Dance. So now we have 20 points. Usually you go Improve Gouge. This is another talent that we're going to be skipping over. So we're saving all of those talents for the assassination tree. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to go 3 out of 3 Eviscerate because Eviscerate really, really pumps in Wrath. And then we're going to go Malice, Ruthless Strikes, max out Puncturing Wound. We're going to get Vigor, and then we're going to put enough points so we can get Lethality. And now we're going to go 5 out of 5. So what this does is it increases the critical strike damage bonus of all combo generating abilities that not require stealth by 30%. This is the most intense, all offensive spec that you can run because if you have, for example, 2 rogues running this spec, Tricks of Trade, on top of this, your Shadow Dance ambushes are going to be doing way more damage. And I've done the numbers on average on Warmane, again, with Warmane damage, with it's just your standard Naxxramas 10-man and full Hateful. I was doing around 2.6K for an average crit. With this spec, I was doing 3 to 3.1 average crit with my ambushes. So you can kind of just do the math with 2 rogues doing on it, how that just like damage amplifies. And that's not even using tricks of trade. So I wanted to show you guys this spec because this is going to be something you will see rogues use often, and you will see people just going all in. And again, we're not using camouflage because we don't need the speed, right? We don't need the speed. We're just going to be using either Glyph of Sprint, which I just respect, Glyph of Sprint to increase the speed while in stealth so we can get to our enemies. Or if you're playing double rogue, you don't even need the Glyph of Sprint and you can go something else because you're pretty much going to be taking your time for the most part on your openers. You're not really trying to rush it. So that's going to be it for the first spec. For the second spec, this is going to be the more so standardized spec that is generically all around a good spec to use. Now, it's going to have a similar setup, but a few things differently. We're going to go across the board with Relentless Strikes, Master Deception, and Opportunity, same as before. We're going to go into Dirty Tricks so we can have that Sap and Blind. We're also going to go 2 points into Camouflage to reduce the cooldown and make us a little bit quicker. From here, we're going to go down to Serrated Blades, and we're going to get Elusiveness. This is going to help us have those abilities come up faster, and then we're going to grab Hemo. This spec is mostly used for healer DPS or generally any sort of comp where if you're just wanting an all-around build where you want all those abilities, because Hemo does have use cases in the game. If you're not just solely trying to win in the opener, this spec is going to be, again, a more all-around base where, you know, you can go and reset. You are going to have that survivability. You are going to be a little more tanky and have a little bit more of a built-up kit than the other one that's just like all-in Andes. So we're going to grab Hemo. We're going to grab Dirty Deeds. And we're going to grab Preparation, but we're going to skip out on Master of Subtlety, and we're going to skip out on Heightened Senses to grab Deadliness and Cheat Death. Here, this is the significant difference of the spec where we're going to actually go Cheat Death, Waylay, and Filthy Tricks. Again, these are for the longer games. We're going to be having a better opportunity of winning against Warrior Pally because we're going to have the Waylay. We can slow the Warrior. We can slow the Pally. And anyone who can cleanse out poisons, you know, Waylay is a great ability to have. So again, we're going to have that in our kit that allows us to slow down our enemies. And then again, have a little bit more tankiness with Cheat Death. So maybe you live in the dance, maybe you survive that 1 extra swing and you guys can pull and turn around the game. Because a big thing about Wrath of Lich King and Rogues in particular is Shadow Dance. And so with this spec and you have Cheat Death, that could be the difference of you living, getting that extra 15 seconds or so that gives you enough time for you and your teammate to have another go and then get the dance off, and then you can win the game. So that's going to be those two. And then Filthy Tricks, this is going to be using for multiple goes. So you have your tricks to trade up. If it's long games, again, like we said, the healer DPS, where you are using prep for the second time. And also too, all around like world PvP. I know it's kind of a meme now that all the servers are one-sided faction, so not too much world PvP. This is great also for BGs to have the Filthy Tricks, so your preps are up and you're doing more cooldown usage. And then pretty standard, you want to max out Honor, Shadow Step, Slaughter the Shadows, and Shadow Dance. Next tab is going to be the Combat tab, and we're actually grabbing the Improved Gouge because this allows us to set up whether we're playing Disc Priest Rogue or Shadow Priest Rogue, or any real comp that you want to get a setup or use Gouge as a strong CC. Again, it's like a 5.5 second instant CC that you can use off DR. I mean, it's incredible that we have this. So we're going to go for this because it allows us to have a little bit more control. Again, playing for those longer games, playing for those peels, playing for those setups. And then the last talent tree, this is the only thing you really kind of notice, is we're not going max out in lethality, and we're only going to go 2 points in malice. But you definitely want to get Improved Evis, Ruthlessness, Puncturing Wounds, and Vigor. It's not up for discussion because those are just such a strong talents for us to go in Wrath of the Lich King. And I do want to note that this spec will be a little bit susceptible to any other rogue team because you are losing the Heightened Senses. But a lot of times in Wrath, I will say, you're not necessarily looking for the rogues. You're not actively going and like trying to find them. You're more so going and getting either a Sapon healer, and then you're going to be going and you're not actively lurking like you do more so in TBC. So for the third and last spec, and my personal favorite spec, is what I like to call more so a double DPS spec with a little bit more of a rounded kit. You can definitely play this with healer DPS just fine, but it does give me that stealth increase. So Again, across the board, we're going to have the same lineup: Opportunity, Master of Deception, and Relentless Strikes. We're going to grab Dirty Tricks, but skip Camouflage. We're going to grab Serrated Blades down to Hemo and Elusiveness. We're going to put points into Improve Ambush and Initiative. And then this is where the spec is going to start looking a little bit different. We're going to go 2 out of 2 Heightened Senses because I do want to be able to have the stealth equal to my opponent, because I want to be able to, on the off chance, find the rogue, and I don't want to get opened on. It's just a thing that I personally prefer. I always want to make sure that my stealth is at the highest level, especially because I like to wear tailoring on Wrath on this character. It's a new one that I just made. I usually go Sword Embroidery, which is from tailoring, and I lose the increased stealth because, again, most rogues are going to be going this spec and they're not going to be going the Heightened Senses. So I'm going to be going tailoring and then going Heightened Senses to have a higher, if not equal, stealth than the normal rogue. So next, we're going to go into Dirty Deeds, Preparation. We're going to go 1 point in Master of Subtlety. The reason why it is 1 point is so I can push through the further talents. We're going to go 5 out of 5 in Deadliness for the attack power. We're going to skip Cheat Death because, again, I feel like it doesn't really do, for me personally, that much. I find that there isn't that much value from it. And I usually try to play where I'm not needing Cheat Death, where I'm playing appropriate and I'm doing the right things and not messing up, where I'm winning without even having it proc. So it's kind of like this, why do I need it? Or I know it's a safe card, but realistically, you're probably making mistakes that are leading it to even proc. So just kind of get good, and you don't really need it. You don't even really need it. So next one, we have Premeditation, pretty standard. Sinister Calling. I do go Waylay. Again, this is a double DPS, but you can definitely use this as a more offensive, aggressive spec with a healer DPS, because I run this all the time with Priest Rogue, and Waylay is really, really good against the Warrior Pally teams. Filthy Tricks, because again, some of the games are going to be running a little bit longer. We want that reduced energy. I want the fast Shadow Steps. I want the fast Tricks of the Trade. Shadow Step, of course, Honor Among Thieves, and as well as Slaughter the Shadows and Shadow Dance. Same thing here. I'm going to be grabbing Improved Gouge because it's with this build and kit, that control utility is super important, and it really just goes and plays off of the rest of the spec, having Waylay, having Filthy Tricks, because everything is kind of building off each other. I can slow a warrior. I can slow somebody with Waylay that can't get dispelled. And then I can also go for a Gouge and have it as a long CC. So moving on to the Assassination tree, it's going to be the same setup where you go for Improve Eviscerate, you go for the 2 out of 5 in Malice, you go for Puncturing Runes, Vigor, and Ruthlessness. And that's going to be it, guys. That is it for this video. I just wanted to show you a couple of specs that I experimented, noticed, and have seen while since playing on Warmane and just playing so many games throughout. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we're live on Twitch every single day. So I hope to see you guys there, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.